What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Vegas 6, Derrick Lewis versus Oleinik. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another full card breakdown and prediction video. This time we are breaking down UFC Vegas 6, and it is a pretty solid card overall. I'm really interested to see the main event. Lewis Oleinik, a great stylistic matchup. You got the Lewis in the striker, the heavy hitter, versus Oleinik in the grappler, who has tons of submissions on his record. It's gonna be a really fun, weird fight there. You have Stewart, Patola. That's gonna be a banger. You have Kevin Holland on the card, who was supposed to fight last week. And overall, it's going to be a pretty solid card. I see a lot of great spots for betting as well. We'll get into all of that here. A couple announcements before we go into the quick recap from last week. I am going to be going live on Odds HQ Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So check that out. Going to be on there with MMA Locker Room and MMA Prediction Guru. If you're watching this on, say, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, you can always go back and watch that. There's going to be some good information on there, going over some bets, some potential bets. With some good guys on there, so go check that out. And then, as always, going live on Friday to go over the final weigh-ins, my final thoughts, my bets, my predictions, and all that good stuff on there. So make sure you guys tune in Friday as well. We keep growing that every week. Come in, ask questions, hang out for about an hour, and other than that, make sure you guys give this video a like. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Would really appreciate that a ton. You don't want to miss out on my other videos coming up for UFC 252. Going to be doing 2 giveaways because it is such a great card. I'm going to do my usual DraftKings free roll where $25 to the winner for first. And I'm going to be doing a giveaway for the guys that don't play DraftKings. And, you don't want to miss out on that as well. So before we get into the video, I want to do a quick recap of the absolute disaster of a card that was last week. I mean, we had 3 fight changes before the card for the weigh-ins and all that. We had Martinez miss weight by 5 pounds. That fight almost didn't happen. We had Mearshart, get tested positive for COVID. We had Trevin Giles pass out minutes before the fight. And, it was such a weird card, 8 fights. I mean, hopefully they do a better job at keeping this card intact. Wanted to wait an extra day or two to get this out just so, we can see, what all is going on. Because so much changed the past, last week. But coming off of my first loss in about 5 or 6 weeks, it was a very small loss, but a loss nonetheless. If Holland would have fought, I had Holland in a parlay. I had Borg in a parlay, but those turned into straight bets on Jamal Emmer, so that was good, I guess, but really missed out on those parlays because Holland and Borg weren't able to fight, and I think Borg would have absolutely had his way with Munoz, but it happens. That's part of the fight game, but looking to rebound off of last week, and I do see some good spots here. So with that said, we're going to bounce right into the card here. We're going to start with the first fight of the night. We have Irwin Rivera versus Ali Al-Qasi. So, doing tape on Rivera, not too impressed at all, and we all remember his fight with Giga Chikadze. I think he's getting a little bit too much respect for going to decision with Giga. So he is a minus 210 favorite, and Al-Qasi is a plus 175 underdog. So, yeah, I wasn't too impressed with Rivera. I've seen him get taken down plenty of times. I've seen him taken down for a whole round before, 5 minutes, getting controlled on top. He doesn't have much from bottom, and he's not really a volume guy as well on the feet. And he hits kind of hard, but he's not really a knockout threat. He has finished 56% of his fights by knockout, but this Al-Qasi guy is very, very interesting. Watching tape on him, I guess listening to the announcers, they said he had some kind of Sambo background, and he looks pretty good. Not so much in the striking area. If this stays striking, that's where Rivera is going to look like a minus 210 favorite. But, Al-Qasi has some really good takedowns. He has some really good trips. He looks very, very strong. Checking out his Instagram, this dude looks jacked. So I do think Al-Qasi is going to be able to get takedowns on Rivera here. Probably pretty easily if he goes for him. I'm assuming he's going to go for takedowns. And pretty much every fight I watched, he was going for multiple takedowns a fight. And that would definitely benefit him here. But I do like Al-Qasi to win this fight. He is 29 years old. He has 5'6", 8-3. He's 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Rivera is 31 years old. He has 5'6", 68-inch reach, 9-5, and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. And I'm just more impressed with Alkazi. Both these guys are very low level, but I think the wrestling of Alkazi is going to win him the fight, get him a decision here. Looks like he has good cardio, looks like he's in shape for this fight, and not too high on Rivera. I mean, Chikadzi's someone who I'm not high on at all, and he went in there and pretty much got dominated the whole fight. Now, I don't see Alkazi, outstriking him or anything like that, but I do see him taking him down. If he does, most likely we'll probably be able to hold him there for minutes at a time. I didn't see much of Rivera with a decent get-up game. I didn't see much of that at all, or anything off his back, really. So Alkazi take him down. If he gets back up, Matt return him. I think the line's way off. So I don't really like betting these low-level fights, but might be taking a look at that. Alkazi, if the line even gets even wider, I'll be pretty much forced to take a shot at that. If it gets to plus 200 for sure, but I don't really see why it would. If people are watching tape, I don't know how they can be too confident on Erwin Rivera in this spot. So give me Alkazi to win by decision. Yeah, give me to win by decision. So next we got Yusuf Zelal versus Peter Barrett. They call him Slippery Pete. Zelal, he is 23 years old. He is 5'10" with a 75-inch reach. He is 9-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Peter Barrett, he is 33 years old. He is 5'9" with a 73-inch reach. 11-3 and 3-2 in his last five fights. By the way, guys, I'm going to be posting my bets on Twitter as always. So if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers, you can. And going over my final bets on Friday, and I might even put in some Saturday, but mostly my final bets are going to be Friday on that live stream, and I'll get into those. Then I was also looking at doing a short video on Saturday, just quickly going over the best bets for each fight and some of my bets as well. But getting back into this fight, Zelal is going to have a 10 age differential here, a 10-year age differential here. He's 23 years old compared to Barrett, 33, and I just think Zelal is the better fighter pretty much everywhere on the feet, on the ground. Barrett does have some good wrestling, but don't think he wants to use it here at all. I've seen Barrett put in tons of bad spots, almost get submitted like 10, 15, maybe more than that times. And if he does that against Zelal, Zelal is going to submit him here. I've seen, Barrett get almost arm barred a bunch of times, almost guillotined a bunch of times, and I just don't think that's going to slide against Zelal. And that's where I really think Zelal is going to have the advantage here. Even on the feet, Zelal is going to have a huge advantage here. So looking at the odds here, Zelal is a minus 420 favorite, and I do think that's warranted. I don't really see a path to victory for Barrett here, unless it's like a knockout maybe, but then again, I don't really see that happening. So I like Zelal here. I think he's going to get a submission. I'm looking out for that submission prop as well. Barrett just gives up way too much on the mat, and if Barrett takes him down, if Barrett takes Zelal down, which I think would be an awful idea, I think Zelal can definitely catch him in a submission. Maybe Zelal is able to take Barrett down himself, but if it stays standing, again, Zelal, I like him there as well. So really, Zelal everywhere, but I'm going to pick Zelal to win by submission here. Give me submission in round number 1 there. So this should be a very exciting fight. We all remember Justin Jaynes. We all remember him ruining a bunch of parlays, going against Frank Camacho there. But Gavin Tucker, he is 34 years old. He is 5'6" with a 66-inch reach. He is 11-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Justin Jaynes, he is 30 years old, 5'7" with a 67.5-inch reach. 16-4 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So Jaynes looks really good, but the problem for me is he is coming down in weight. I believe this fight is, let me double check here, I want to say 145. Yeah, this fight is at 145 featherweight, and I think this is the first time he's ever fought at featherweight. So a little concerning there. I'm curious to see what Jaynes looks like on the scale, so probably going to wait to bet him until I do see him on the scales. But if he makes the weight, and he's going to look huge in there. Like, this is a big guy to begin with, and coming down at 145 for the first time, I don't know how I feel about that, but I do think he's going to be very powerful there. If I had to guess, I don't know. I think he might. There might be a chance he does miss weight. It's hard to see him making that weight, but maybe he does. And if he does, he's probably going to look huge in there by fight time. So Jaynes has finished 81% of his fights overall. He's finished 50% by knockout. So 10 fights won by knockout by Jaynes, and I believe 9 of them have came in the first round. So he's someone who really comes in there and tries to get it done early. Tucker is someone who I'm not overly impressed in whatsoever. He only lands 2.6 significant strikes per minute with a 31% accuracy. He absorbs a massive 5.07 significant strikes per minute with a 53% Striking defense, I think Jaynes is going to go in here and get him out of this fight pretty early. Tucker has never been knocked out, so I think we might be able to get a good line on Jaynes by knockout, and I do think that's his path to victory. Could Jaynes win a decision? I think he could, but I am worried about that Jaynes gas tank. Coming down to 145, I'm not too sure how he'll look in the later rounds, especially if we saw him coming out against Camacho, landing so many, like 20 strikes in the first 10 seconds. Don't know if he'll be able to sustain that pace, especially coming down in weight there. So that's something to look for there. The line, Jaynes is a plus 115 underdog, and Tucker is a minus 135 favorite. I do like Jaynes to win, and I probably will bet him, but I'm going to wait till the weigh-ins before I do put a bet in. If he looks good on the scales, most definitely. If he's still an underdog, I'm going to bet him. The line has came in a little bit. I wish I would have got him a couple of days ago. He was a bigger underdog then, but I do still think he should be the slight favorite here. And give me Justin Jaynes. I'm going to pick him to win in the first round knockout, get his 10th first round victory there. So next we got Andrew Sanchez versus Wellington Turman. Very interesting fight here. We have Wellington Turman. He is 24 years old. He is 6 foot with a 72-inch reach. He is 16-3, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He lands 2.43 significant strikes per minute with a 42% striking accuracy. He absorbs 3.3 significant strikes per minute with a 43% striking defense. He lands 3 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 37% takedown accuracy. Has 100% takedown defense as well. So in 19 Turman fights, he has 25% won by knockout, 44% won by submission, 69% finish rate overall. He has lost by decision 3 times. He's never been knocked out. He's never been submitted. As for Andrew Sanchez, he is 32 years old. He is 6'1", with a 76-inch reach. He is 11-5 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. He lands 4.82 significant strikes per minute with a 48% accuracy there. He absorbs 4.79 significant strikes per minute with a 48% striking defense. He averages 2.65 takedowns per 50 minutes with a 34% takedown accuracy. I don't think he wants to go in there and get takedowns against Turman there, but maybe he does. 100% takedown defense as well for Andrew Sanchez. Has never been taken down in the UFC. So 19 fights for Sanchez. He's won by knockout 43% of the time. He's won by submission 14% of the time. 57% finish rate overall. And Sanchez has been knocked out 3 times, never been submitted. Looking at the line here, Turman is a minus 155 favorite there, and Sanchez is a plus 135 underdog. And I'll be honest, I think this is a decent fight for Andrew Sanchez. Turman's someone who is very, very, very good on the ground. And the problem in this fight is I don't really see him being able to get Sanchez to the ground. Sanchez has very, very good wrestling. He has very good takedown defense. And when it's on the feet, Sanchez has some very good output. Sanchez lands 4.82 significant strikes per minute compared to Turman's 2.4. That's about double the strikes there. And Sanchez has that experience. And I do like Sanchez to win this fight, whether it's clinching up against Turman. I think Sanchez is going to be the stronger guy. I don't really see Turman getting Sanchez down, and that's where the problem really is here. Maybe Turman gets him down, but even then, Sanchez has never been submitted. Sanchez has some pretty decent BJJ himself. Obviously, Turman has the big advantage there, but I just don't see him getting him down. And at that point, I think Sanchez is going to land the more volume. I think he's the better striker on the feet. Turman's not awful on the feet, but I do give the advantage to Sanchez. I give him the volume advantage, and it's really hard to pick Turman in this spot. And he is a favorite. He does have some hype surrounding him, and Sanchez is someone who has lost 3 of his last 5 fights, so that's understandable. But I do like the underdog in this spot, so I'm going to be picking my second underdog on the card, and Andrew Sanchez. I'm going to pick him win by decision. I don't think he's going to go out there and finish Turman. The only finish I could see happening is if Turman does get Sanchez down, but then again, I just don't really see that happening. So give me Andrew Sanchez to win by decision in this fight. All right, we have Nasrat Haqparast versus Alex Munoz. Enter Calvin Gastelum joke here. And Nasrat Haqparast is 24 years old, still a young fighter. He is 5'10", with a 72-inch reach. He is 11-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Alex Munoz, he is 30 years old. He is 5'9". We're not sure of his reach. 6-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. So Munoz is a really good wrestler, has a really good wrestling background. And looking at the line here, Haqparast is a minus 230 favorite, and Munoz is a plus 190 underdog. We all remember what happened in Haqparast's fight with Drew Dober. I feel like I was one of the only people on Drew Dober in that fight. He got knocked out fairly early in that first round, which made me a lot of money. But Haqparast probably did bust a lot of parlays that week. So I do like Haqparast to win this fight. Only concerns I really have are if Munoz can take Haqparast down in multiple times, which that could be. But Haqparast actually has some pretty solid takedown defense and pretty solid good at game as well. I'm not too overly worried about Munoz takedowns here. So Haqparast does have a 78% takedown defense. And maybe Munoz does get him down. I do think Munoz will get him down. But when it's on the feet, I favor Haqparast on the feet quite a bit. So Haqparast averages 5.24 significant strikes per minute. That's a ton there. He's a very, very hard hitter as well. So I do think Haqparast is going to win. I think he's going to win by knockout. Munoz is no slouch whatsoever. Very good wrestler. But I just favor, Haqparast on the feet quite a bit more than, the wrestling advantage for Munoz. So give me Haqparast to win. I'm going to say first round knockout, bounce back from that loss to Drew Dober there, and get Munoz out of there. But Munoz is a pretty good prospect there, 30 years old. I do think he'll have some success in the UFC, but this is a pretty tough matchup to come right into with Haqparast here. So give me Haqparast by knockout. All right, this fight is a very tough fight to call. I went back and forth on this one. Staropoli, he is 6'1", 71.5-inch reach. He is 9-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Tim Means, he is 36 years old. He is 6'2", 75-inch reach, 29, 12-1, and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. So Staropoli is a -140 favorite, and Tim Means is a +120 underdog. At first glance, before I looked into everything, I was liking Tim Means a little bit, but just by looking at the tape, looking at the numbers and everything, it's really, really tough to pick Tim Means in this spot. Tim Means is 36 years old. He's getting up there in age. I do think he is towards the end of his career, and when you're losing to Nico Price, when you're losing to Daniel Rodriguez, it's not a good look at all. And Staropoli is better than both those guys in my opinion. Staropoli and Price would be a good matchup, but I do think Staropoli is probably the more talented fighter there. But we can't ignore Price's power, and he was the first person to finish Tim Means by strikes, and that surprised a ton of people, including me, because when you have 40 fights on your record, you haven't been finished once by strikes. I mean, that caught a lot of people by surprise there, but I think, Nico Price might have changed that chin. He might have, did something to that chin, because in the Rodriguez fight, Rodriguez was hurting Means a ton, a couple times. Ended up finishing him by submission there, but he very easily could have probably got him out of there by knockout as well if he wanted to. But, I just think Tim Means is on the way out. Probably the more talented fighter at this point of the career is Staropoli. He lands 6.47 significant strikes per minute. Tons of volume from Staropoli, and this dude's good at striking as well. Means does land 4.87. I guess the only concern I have is if Means wants to go and try to get takedowns on Staropoli and work his submission game. But Means doesn't really do that much. So Means does average only 0.9 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 44% takedown accuracy there. So I guess that's my only concern. But other than that, I think Staropoli is going to really just land more volume, maybe even hurt Means. I mean, I really question where Means' chin is at this point, and I question where his head's at this point, and I just question where his whole career is at this point. So was looking at Means at first, but after watching the tape, I really can't pick Tim Means in this spot. So give me Staropoli to win by decision. Would I be surprised if he knocked out Means? At this point, no. But just by decision, Staropoli's not really a power puncher. He has finished about 50% of his fights by strikes, so maybe he does get him out of there, but I'm going to go Staropoli by decision in this fight. And yeah, that kind of sucks, because I do like Tim Means quite a bit. I am a Tim Means fan there, so, he has, been having a pretty big decline there, so yeah, Staropoli for sure there. So next we got Kevin Holland versus Joaquin Buckley. As we all know, Kevin Holland was supposed to fight Giles, which would have been awesome, because I had Holland in a parlay. I had Holland straight, had lots of action on Holland, and if Holland would have got it done, I would have made some money last week. But unfortunate that happened to Giles. Not too sure what happened there. I guess he passed out or something. Not sure to why. I don't. But it happened, and that kind of sucks. But Holland's coming right back into it, so I think he's going to be ready. He's going to be hungry to get a finish in this fight. And he's going against Buckley here. Buckley is 26 years old. He is 5'10 with a 73-inch reach. 10-2 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Holland is 27 years old. He is 6'3", 81-inch reach, 17-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So some things I want to point out. Holland does have a 8-inch reach advantage. He does have a 4-inch height advantage. Take a look at the line here. Holland is a minus 380 favorite, and Buckley is a plus 315 underdog. So, we just covered Holland last week, talked about him a lot last week, so not going to get too much into Holland, but, he does have that poor fight IQ, and, he was going against Giles, who had even worse fight IQ, so I really liked Holland in that spot. But he's going against Buckley here, and Buckley looks like a absolute beast on tape. This dude's big, he hits very hard, and I don't think Holland really should be a minus 380 favorite, but what I think is going to happen here is Holland is probably going to strike with this guy the whole time and try to knock him out, and that could be a good idea, but I think he'd have a lot of success if he did try to take Buckley down. I've seen Buckley taken down and really struggle with that ground game. That's where he struggles, and he's best on the feet. So if Holland's giving him that game plan of just staying on the feet the whole time, I don't really think Holland should be a minus 380 favorite, because maybe Holland does get knocked out. But the thing about Holland is he has a very, very good chin, and that's why I am picking him here. And he's going to have that length, that range, that reach. And overall, he's the more athletic fighter. He's the more talented fighter by a decent margin as well. So I do like Holland to win here. Don't really like the line. I think it should be just slightly closer, but you can't really complain about it. This Buckley dude does look like a stud. I think he'll have some success in the UFC, but this is a tough matchup here. If Buckley gets a guy that does not try to wrestle him, I think he'll have some success for sure. But that ground game is really what, really the downfall of Buckley, it looked like in a lot of his fights. So Buckley has been knocked out once. Buckley has never been submitted. Don't really see Holland trying to take Buckley down. Maybe he does. I think that'd be smart, but I think it'd be kind of hard to get Buckley down. Buckley was taken down by this one dude. I forget his name, but he's a really good wrestler. He's able to get him down and hold him down for like 15 minutes. So maybe Holland's able to take him down. I think that'd be smart of Holland to do, but most likely just see Holland striking with him. And at that point, using his length, using his reach, and probably knocking him out in that third round. Buckley does not have the best gas tank, but it should be a fun fight. As long as Holland's chin holds up, he's going to win this fight. So third round knockout for Holland. And as for a parlay, probably a little bit too wide there, but I don't hate it. Also, we'll be probably looking at that Holland inside the distance line. And of course, I'll go over all my bets and the best bets on Friday on my live stream as well. But haven't bet anything yet. I'm going to be putting in some bets before the live stream tonight on Odds HQ. And there are some spots I really do like here. So the next fight we got Beneil Dariush versus Scott Holtzman. Dariush, he is 31 years old. He is 5'10 with a 71-inch reach. He is 18-4 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Scott Holtzman, he is 36 years old. He is 5'9 with a 69-inch reach. He is 14-3 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So Dariush, he has 3.87 significant strikes landed per minute with a 49% accuracy there. 2.65 absorbed per minute with a 59% striking defense for Dariush. He averages 1.8 takedowns per 15 minutes, which I think would be pretty nice if he got takedowns here in this fight, with a 33% accuracy there and 80% takedown defense. So Dariush has 23 fights. He's won by knockout 22% of the time. We saw him get that knockout his last fight against Rekar Klose. That was amazing. Amazing knockout there. 44% won by submission for Dariush there, and he has a 66% finish rate overall. He's been knocked out 3 times. He's been submitted once. So, just looking at that there, he does have some chin issues, and that's a little concerning in this fight. And I do think that's why, Dariush is about minus 160 right now, and Holtzman is plus 140 right now. So, Holtzman, he does land 4.52 significant strikes per minute with a 49% accuracy. He absorbs 3.3 significant strikes per minute with a 55% striking defense. He averages 2.23 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 60% takedown accuracy. He's not going to want to take down Dariush in this fight. 65% takedown defense for Scott Holtzman there. He's won 36% by knockout, 14% by submission, 50% overall finish rate. So Holtzman has lost by decision 3 times, and he's never been knocked out, and Holtzman has never been finished. So I do like Dariush quite a bit in this spot. I think he's the more talented fighter overall. I think he's the better striker, but we do got to worry about is that power of Holtzman. I think that that's where we give the advantage to Holtzman is that power, and the durability for Holtzman as well is another advantage, and that's really a concern in this fight for Dariush, and that's pretty much the only concern I have is that chin, and if that chin holds up, I think he's just going to do more, maybe clinch up Holtzman, hopefully take him to the ground. I think he might be able to take him to the ground here, and I think that would be smart as well. If he takes down Holtzman, man, I think he will possibly get a submission here, and I'm not too sure Holtzman will be able to stop those takedowns. Holtzman was getting taken down by some lower-level fighters before. Nick Lentz was able to take him down a couple times, and Dariush, I like this fight. I like this fight for him. So come in here with a smart game plan. Don't get knocked out. Don't get caught with a big strike. Holtzman does have some pretty good power here. Holtzman has finished, like I said, 36% of his fights by knockout. So I do think it could happen, but I'm leaning towards Dariush, being able to not get knocked out, being able to fight smart and get this fight to the ground and possibly get a submission. But I'm going to go with decision here. I think he's going to be able to get him down a couple of times, hold him there, possibly almost get a submission. But I think Holtzman's going to be tough enough to get out of it and just do more overall in the fight. So give me Beneil Dariush to win this fight by decision, and that also is something I'm looking at placing a bet on as well. So I'll let you guys know for sure on the live stream, but I do like that line for Dariush there. Holtzman's 36, getting up there in age. I do like Dariush to win this fight. All right, next we got Kunskaya versus Julija Stolarenko. So Kunskaya, she is 30 years old. She is 5'8" with a 68.5-inch reach. She is 12-5, and she is 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Stolarenko, she is 27 years old. She is 5'7" with a 69-inch reach, 9-3, 5-0 in her last 5 fights. So this is a weird fight. So Stolarenko has finished 90% of her fights by submission, 0% by knockout, 10% by decision there, and the only way Stolarenko is going to win this fight is if she's able to get Kunskaya down, which I don't think it's going to happen, or Jaynes Kunskaya takes her down herself. And this is women's MMA. Anything can happen. I think Kunskaya has a clear path to victory here. Just out-striking her, out-landing her. I think Kunskaya is the better striker by a decent margin. She throws more. Kunskaya throws about 5.24 significant strikes per minute. Stolarenko about 3.8. And as long as Kunskaya fights smart in this fight, she's going to win. But if she comes out here taking Stolarenko down, that's giving Stolarenko her only path to victory here. So Kunskaya has lost by submission 2 times, and Stolarenko has lost by KO twice. Don't really see a finish happening in this fight, but if there is a finish, it's probably Stolarenko getting a submission there. So this is something I would stay away from a bet 100%, especially considering Kunskaya is a minus 235 favorite, and Stolarenko is a plus 195 underdog, because I do think she wins, and I do think she has a good, solid path to victory, which is staying off the ground, but I don't know if she's going to do that. She averages 3.14 takedowns per 15 minutes, and that's just what she does a lot in her fights. And, it would be smart to come in here with the game plan to not do that, but I just can't trust it enough to bet it. But I am going to pick it, Kunskaya to win by decision there. But I leave it out of your parlays. I leave it out of your straight bets, especially at that minus 230. Just no point in doing that. Because remember the Belbita and Jojua fight, where Belbita, all she had to do was stay off the ground, and she took Jojua down, got finished shortly after. I don't know why. I'm envisioning, maybe a scenario like that happening here, but I'm assuming Kunskaya is smart enough to not do that, but at this point, we just don't know with women's MMA. So Kunskaya by decision, but, big pass from a betting perspective there. All right, we have a very good fight here. I think this could possibly be fight of the night. Another fight I have been going back and forth on. So Darren Stewart, he is 29 years old. He is 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. He is 11-5, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Maki Pitolo, Coconut Bombs. He is 29 years old. He is 5'10 with a 73.5-inch reach. 13-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So Darren Stewart lands 2.96 significant strikes per minute with a 43% striking accuracy. He absorbs 2.67 significant strikes per minute with a 53% striking defense. He averages 1.84 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 41% takedown accuracy. He has a 63% takedown defense here. So in Stewart, 16 fights, wins. He has a knockout rate of 64%. No wins by submission, has a 64% finish rate overall. So Stewart has been lost by decision 3 times, and he's been knocked out 0 times. He's lost by submission 2 times. As for Maki Patola, he lands 4.2 significant strikes per minute with a 41% striking accuracy. He absorbs 3.21 significant strikes per minute with a 51% striking defense. So he does land a decent margin more than Patola, but that's a lot because Stewart is on his back, has been on his back a decent amount of times in the UFC. And Patola does average 2.13 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 60% takedown accuracy, 33% takedown defense for Patola. In 18 fights, Patola has won by knockout 54% of the time. He's won by submission 23% of the time, has a finish rate of 77%. So Patola's lost by decision twice. He's lost by knockout twice. He has lost by submission once. All right, so this fight I have been flipping back and forth on. This fight is at 185. So Patola's last fight was at 185 as well against Charles Byrd, and he looked pretty dang good in that fight. The fight before that was against Potter, which Potter is a very low-level fighter, and it looked like Patola was very, very tired in that first round. After a couple of minutes, after he was not able to get Potter out of there, he really started to gas out, and he was very tired from then on out. And he was able to survive and lose a decision to Potter there, but that was a little concerning, and I think that's why Patola was a decent-sized underdog to Charles Byrd, who's just retired. I think he's not a very good fighter, but Patola at 185 against Byrd, he looked pretty good. His cardio seemed to be a lot better in the second round. He looked fresh. He didn't look very, very tired. So I think him coming up to 185 was a pretty good thing here. And against Stewart's someone who I'm not too high on at all. And this is such a close fight. And just looking at the line here, Stewart is a minus 180 favorite here, and Patola is a plus 155 underdog. So I do like Patola to win this fight. I think Patola is just going to throw more volume. The thing is, Stewart does land the harder shots, but Patola is going to be the more busy fighter, the more active fighter, and I would not be surprised at all if Patola went to that ground game and tried to get Stewart down. So Stewart, it has looked like he has improved his takedown defense a little bit, but if Patola can get him down, Patola has a pretty good submission game as well. So maybe Patola does go to that ground game and gets him down a couple times. If it's a close fight and Patola's going for those takedowns, maybe he can, win a close decision. But honestly, I think someone's probably going to get finished in this fight. And that's why it makes this fight so hard to call. Stewart has a very good chin. He's never been knocked out. Patola has 2 or 3 knockout losses. Patola has 2 knockout losses. So Patola's someone who is not afraid to give a couple and receive a couple right back. He was letting Potter absolutely tee off on him. But it looks like he has a decent chin from what I saw. Especially, at 185, I think his chin's going to be pretty good here. And, Stewart does have that power, but I'm just leaning Patola here. I think he's going to be the first person that knocks out Stewart. I just think he's going to give, Stewart more than he can handle here. I don't think Stewart's the best fighter by any means, and Patola's someone who, he has some potential, and especially, building off of the Charles Byrd fight where he looked really good. I do like him to win this fight here. Whether it's him, landing more, maybe getting a takedown, maybe finding a submission. And, Stewart has been submitted before, but just leaning the more volume, doing more. Stewart might have those bigger shots, but overall I think Patola is going to do enough to win a decision or get a knockout, and that's what I'm picking here. I think Patola is going to win by knockout. Give me round 2 knockout for Maki Patola. Going to be the first person to knock out Darren Stewart there. Going to be a very, very good fight there. I think it might be fight of the night. So next we got a very intriguing fight here. We have Chris Weidman versus Amari Ahmedov. And Weidman, 36 years old. He is 6'2" with a 78-inch reach. He is 14-5 and 1-5 in his last 5 fights. Ahmedov, he is 32 years old, a 6 foot, 73-inch reach, 24-1 and 4-0-1 in his last 5 fights. So pre-tape, I was all over Ahmedov. Weidman has lost 5 out of his last 6 fights, all 5 being by knockout. It's just not a good look. He's 36 years old. Again, not a good look. taking a look at the line here, Weidman is a minus 130 favorite, and Ahmedov is a plus 115 underdog there. So, like I said, pre-tape, I was leaning Ahmedov a pretty decent amount, but after watching tape, I was not impressed with Ahmedov whatsoever. I mean, he's someone who gets very, very tired very early in the fights. He doesn't throw much, but when he throws, he does put everything into his shots. He does hit pretty hard. He doesn't have a knockout since 2015, though, and ever since coming up to 185 for Ahmedov, I mean, it looks like he still has that power, but he doesn't have a finish at that weight class. And, Chris Weidman, after watching tape on him, I give Weidman the advantage in every single aspect of this fight. And besides, of course, the durability, that's something we got to take into account. And sometimes that's all you really need is that durability advantage. But I don't know if Ahmedov is the one to really put out Weidman here in this spot. Maybe he does. If he does, it's going to have to be early when Ahmedov is fresh. But I think Weidman is going to... First of all, this is a must-win fight for Weidman. If he doesn't win this fight, he's probably going to be done with UFC. He's probably going to retire if he does not win this fight here. So this is a must-win fight for Weidman. He does have a 5-inch reach advantage here. He's going to have a 2-inch height advantage. He's going to have the wrestling advantage as well. I do think Ahmedov can be taken down. I've seen him taken down before, and Weidman has very good wrestling. And Weidman has a very good submission game as well. So if he can take down Ahmedov and fight really smart, stay at range, don't engage in a brawl on Ahmedov, don't allow him to close the distance and land a hard shot. And also, Weidman has been training with Stephen Thompson as well, Wonder Boy there. So if he can kind of fight, that Wonder Boy game plan, sticking to the outside, and then even go in there and get takedown, I think this is a very, very extremely winnable fight for Chris Weidman here. As for betting it, minus 130, if it goes back down to a pick 'em, I will look at betting Weidman here. But at that, as a favorite, don't really love it. But I do think he should win this fight. But of course, there is that durability concern there, and that's it's a pretty big one. But I like Chris Weidman to win this fight by decision. I think he's going to really tire out Ahmedov, and if he fights smart, this is such a winnable fight for Weidman. So give me Weidman to win by decision. We're going to be taking a look at some props for sure. Maybe the Ahmedov KO prop, if that's a decent line. Maybe take a shot on that if the odds are right. But Weidman should win this fight as long as he doesn't get knocked out. I know that's really hard to do at this point for Weidman, but if he survives and does not get knocked out, he's going to win this fight. So Chris Weidman by decision. All right, we got the main event here, and this is going to be a very, very fun fight to watch here. Two somewhat decent, exciting fighters. I mean, Derek Lewis is exciting at times. He's exciting for 30 seconds at a time, and then other than that, he's a pretty boring fighter. But Oleinik, someone who is a pretty exciting fighter, in my opinion. A lot of his fights are very exciting. He has a very, very good ground game. So it's going to be a good fight. Very fun, stylistic goal matchup here. You got the power puncher and Derek Lewis, and then the submission specialist in Alexei Oleinik. It's going to be very fun to see who pulls this off. So we're going to get into some numbers here for this fight. Derek Lewis, he is 35 years old, about 8 years younger than Oleinik here. Lewis is 6'3", with a 79-inch reach, 23-7 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Alexei Oleinik, he is 43 years old, which is pretty crazy, man. But he went out there and beat Werdum pretty convincingly his last fight. He looked very good. He looked improved. His cardio looked improved. He looked very good in that Werdum fight there. But getting back to it, Oleinik has an 80-inch reach. He's gonna have a 1-inch reach advantage. So he is 59, 13 and 1, which is obviously a ton of fights. He is 3-2 in his last 5 fights as well. So Derek Lewis, he lands only 2.53 significant strikes per minute with a 49% striking accuracy. He absorbs 2.14 significant strikes per minute with a 44% striking defense. Oleinik lands 3.72 significant strikes per minute with a 50% accuracy. Absorbs 3.30 significant strikes per minute with a 47% striking defense. Looking at the grappling stats here, so Derek Lewis averages 0.48 takedowns per 50 minutes with a 24% takedown accuracy, and Derek Lewis does have a 53% takedown defense. Oleinik does average 2.41 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 46% takedown accuracy. He does have a 35% takedown defense. merely because he allows people to take him down. If someone shoots for a takedown on him, he's letting you take him down. So he averages 2.21 submissions per 50 minutes. So looking at the number of fights here for Lewis, 30 fights. He's won by knockout 78% of the time with an 82% finish rate. Lewis has lost by decision twice. He's lost by knockout 4 times. He's lost by submission once. So Oleinik, 73 fights. He's won 14% by knockout. He's won 78% by submission. And he has a 92% finish rate. So it's pretty safe to say this fight is not going to decision. The line is like minus 800, fight does not go to decision. So it's safe to say someone's getting finished in this fight. So Oleinik has lost by decision 4 times. He's lost by knockout 7 times. He's lost by submission 2 times. And looking at the odds here, Lewis is about a minus 200 favorite here. And the line is closing in quite a bit. He was like, I want to say like minus 350 or like the minus 320 range a couple days ago. But the line is coming in on Oleinik. And this is such a hard fight to call. Because, I've seen Derek Lewis on tape get taken down so many times. Like, he gets taken down a lot. It's not hard to take this guy down. And, that's what Oleinik is really going to try to do, is get this fight to the ground. He's obviously not going to try to strike with Derek Lewis here. And, Oleinik, he has some sneaky ways to get the fight to the ground as well. Looking at it here, Oleinik does have a 46% takedown accuracy. That's pretty good for how much he tries to get a fight, and he does land 2.41. But the thing is, Lewis is very good at getting up from bottom. At times, he'll just lay there for minutes at a time, resting, getting a breather on the ground. I don't know if you can do that against Oleinik. I really don't. I don't think that's going to happen here. So, this honestly should be closer to a pick'em. So I see a lot of people betting on Oleinik, and I do think you're getting some value no matter where you bet him, as long as he's not the favorite here. But this fight probably should be a pick'em, because if Oleinik does get him on the ground, there's a very, very good chance that he does submit Lewis, and I do think he gets him on the ground. But Lewis is very good at popping up. He'll pop up and he'll absolutely go off. He saved all the energy, so he's gonna jump up and throw like 20 strikes in 20 seconds, and then after that just throw like one strike a minute, 2 strikes a minute after that. So he has these big bursts, and the question really is Oleinik going to be able to survive these big 20-second bursts that Lewis is going to put on him? And I don't know. I don't know if he can. But man, flip-flopping on this fight by all week. But I'm gonna take Alexei Oleinik to win this fight. I do think he gets Lewis on the ground, and Lewis is going to try to rest. And by the time Lewis tries to get his rest, Oleinik's going to be into mount. Oleinik's going to be looking for a submission. Like, he's quick to find his submissions, and I've seen plenty of times where Lewis was very close to being submitted, and then Lewis would just jump right up, with a big 265-pound guy on him, just jump up. That's a unique way to get out of a submission, but I don't know if you can do that against a guy in Oleinik. And like, Oleinik's a very strong guy. He's very strong. He's 43 years old, and man, I'm not too high on Derek Lewis whatsoever. And I do think this is a very winnable fight for Oleinik, but it should be lying closer to a pick. So I'm going to lean with the underdog here. Some props I'm looking at for this fight, we'll talk about it on Friday, but Oleinik by sub, Derek Lewis by KO. Derek Lewis by KO is like minus 150 though, so I don't know too much about that, but Oleinik by sub, you might get like plus 200, plus 250, so I'll be looking at that for sure. But man, such a tough fight to call. I'm going to lean with the underdog. Would I be surprised if Derek Lewis knocked him out in the first 10 seconds? No. But the thing about Lewis is he doesn't get first round finishes. I think most of his finishes have been in that third round. So, that gives, Oleinik some time to really work his submission game, get some takedowns, and, Lewis is just not, he doesn't do much. He doesn't do much whatsoever. 2.53 significant strikes per minute, that's not enough for me. So, picking Oleinik to win this fight, am I confident in it? Kinda. Because I am confident he's going to get to the ground. I've seen Lewis taken to the ground plenty of times, and I do think Oleinik can do that. So if he does that, I do think he's going to lock up the submission. But so give me Alexei Oleinik, first round submission for Oleinik, And that's about it, guys. We did it there. Just another couple announcements. I am going to be going live Friday evening on my channel, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, going over my final thoughts, my weigh-ins, betting, DraftKings as well. I want to talk about all my bets, talk about some best bets on there, answer any questions you guys have. And speaking of weigh-ins, I do want to see Oleinik on the scales because he looked very good on the scales against Werdum. And if it can kind of resemble that, yeah, I do like that a lot. I might take a shot. Not going to bet him straight because you can get a little bit more value with the inside the distance line or with the submission line. But yeah, I do like Oleinik to win that fight. So yeah, it's going to be really good there. Make sure you guys like this video if you enjoyed it, if it helps you out at all. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Really means a ton to me. You do not want to miss out on the UFC 252 content. I'm going to start working on that probably today. I do want to get that content out extra early for you guys there. And like I said, I'm going to be having 2 contests on there as well. Give out some money, give back to you guys there. And with that said, good luck on your guys' bets this week. You know, like I said, I had a small loss on last Saturday because of all the craziness that went on. But, you know, looking to rebound this week and get some nice profit and going into that UFC 252 card. So that's about it, guys, and see ya.